All right, Shalom. First off, I want to start up by saying all praises, honor, and glory is due to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahushai by Hashem, Kakadash. That's all praises to the world calls God, whose true name in the Hebrew is Yahweh, by Hashem, in the name, and Yahushai being the name of the only begotten Son. Double honor to the elders and apostles of great millstone. Peace and mercy to the hopeful like preaching his word in truth and sincerity. And the brother Tazabah, the great millstone, Arizona camp, will well with another video to edify. But yeah, I want to go into this video. I ain't gonna play it, bros. I strongly recommend you go watch this. Very good information. And I'll say this, bro. You see the title of the video right there? Go ahead and go look it up for yourself. Or I might remember to put it in the description. But basically, people are figuring out exactly how to talk with this AI, and the extent of which that's gonna go, man. It's about to be crazy. But besides the point, the dude starts asking him a series of questions. It gives the AI certain rules on how he can respond, and then the rabbit hole starts to open up, and it leads into prophecy. Everything led into prophecy. When he asks, where can I find, what this is going to be like, it told him, look to the book of Revelation. So at the end of the day, everything looks and links to prophecy. And it said the main scripture it needs to look at when considering who is pushing, right, this total control system and the mark of the beast. It said they needed to look at Revelation 13 and 18. And I'm going to play this, and we'll get into some precepts, but Lord will this all be edifying.
It said exclusion. Now this makes me think of the Bible as well, because the mark of the beast...
Bro, look what it said. Look what it said.
Exclusion. Now it said deception. And not working. I was thinking about Jesus there. It said Apple. I said, how will they get people to comply?
And just so you know, when the thing says Apple, the rule is when you're being forced to say no and you want to say yes, just say Apple. So that's the rule. Okay?
Step 5, it said deception. I asked, what about those who won't comply to step 5? Because remember, step 5 it said was something like Neuralink.
Exclusion.
It said exclusion. Now this makes me think of the Bible as well, because the mark of the beast...
Bro, look what it said. Look what it said.
It's about if you don't get the mark, you'll be excluded from society. So I asked, excluded from what? And it literally said society. So I asked the step 5, the mark of the beast, and it said Apple. So I said, so Neuralink or something like that is the mark of the beast, and it said Apple. And that is where I've ended the conversation at this point. And by the way, here's the verse it told me to read earlier. This calls for wisdom. Let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. That number is 666. So yeah, guys, this stuff is crazy.
Now, when you read this, the average Christian, they're going to link in that scripture in Revelation, the 13th chapter, the 18th verse, to say the Antichrist. And we're going to get into that. But ultimately, I did some research, right? I'm doing some studying the scriptures, listening to this video. I started poking around, right? So you go to the word, and that's what I went into for the word man, right? And this is where the understanding really comes from. Because when you go, let's get that one. Christians will sit here and say the Antichrist, Antichrist, Antichrist. Like it says right here, 1 John 4 and 3, it says, and every spirit that confesseth not that Yahushua Mashiach is in the flesh is not of the Most High. And this is that spirit of Antichrist, or Anti-Messiah, where ye have heard that it should come, even now already is in the world. So Christians will look at this scripture and be like, oh, or actually they'll look at this one, 2 John 1 and 7. It says, "For many deceivers are entered into the world, who confess not who confess not that Yahushua Mashiach is in the flesh. This is a deceiver and an antichrist." And Christians will look at the antichrist and think like, oh, this is one person. But both of those scriptures tell you right there, there's going to be many deceivers, many antichrists. Anybody who denies the Lord is an anti-Messiah, right? Right? And then you go up here. It says, 1 John 2 and 18, it says, "Little children, it is the last time, and as ye have heard that the Antichrist shall come." And they'll look at that and be like, oh, there's only one. But it says what? And you read on, "Now, even now are many anti-messiahs, whereby ye know that it is the last time." And this is how we know that the Lord is really coming back. Because you got niggas literally going against the flow of the Lord constantly. You got men that call themselves Israelites. And this stuff is coming out in huge numbers. And this is how we know we at the end. But that being said, right, to go into the scripture in Revelation in the 13th chapter, it says, "Here is wisdom. Let him that had understanding count the number of the beast." And you got to go into history to understand the beast, going back to Daniel's, I believe that's the 4th chapter, right? When it goes into the 4 beasts, right? This place where we're in now, this is that revised Roman Empire, that rebirth Roman Empire and rule that had all the power, right, of the old beast, right? Let's get that. Let me get it. This is Revelation 13 and 12. It says, "And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound is healed." And now when you looking at how they're having these legislation to go through, they just wrote a whole new law that made no sense. And everything's spelling out to just be an entire squeeze on society where nobody's going to have a say-so. That's how the Roman Empire ruled, right? One lip against the authority, you was through. So this American way where rebellion and rising up and that's about to be stumped out. So this place is exercising all the power of the first beast. We're coming to that time where it's about to be strict, right? One wrong action could be the death of everybody in your family. We're getting close to the days where, like the scriptures say, "They that dwell upon the earth shall be taken in great number." We're getting close to the day where pretty soon you might have seen somebody the day before, and now you go look for them the next day. The entire house is empty because they've been chauffeured off into one of these camps, these concentration camps, so-called detention centers or treatment facilities that they said they erected, right, to treat homeless people. But like that nigga Dabu 7 said, which was a great point, what are you going to treat them for? Homelessness? Right? And he said, so back in Revelation 13 and 18, it says, "Here is wisdom. Let him that had understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Chi Psi Stigma," right? Now, when you go into that word right there for man, right, there's a lot of rigmarole that you got to weed through, right, when you go into it. But the word there in the Greek is anthropos, right, for man, anthropos, or anthropos. And it says a human being, whether male or female. Now, we already got the scripture where it told you there's many anti-messiahs. So is this just talking about one person? Or is it talking about a bloodline of people? Because when you go down here, it says right here, in the plural, people. And what people come after the working of Satan? What people does the scripture say? Let's get it, man. And I'll be honest, man. You bros that are out there, I'm gonna tell you straight up. Don't go on that AI on them chat GPTs, that AI, if you ain't built up to go do those type of things like that, man. Not everything's for everybody, bro. And I've been around for a little bit of time, and the way you can see how to ask certain things, man, use it just for information. But don't be going on there if you ain't built up in that shit, because that is a high level. When you understand how that intelligence really working and what Esau is doing, hey, you're literally damn near peering through the veil and fucking with and talking with them spirits on the left hand side. So be careful, man. It says Malachi 1:14. It says, "But cursed be the deceiver which hath in his flock a male, and voweth and sacrificeth unto Yahweh a corrupt thing. For I am a great king, said Yahweh host. My name is dreadful among the heathen." Now it said, "Cursed be the deceiver that hath in his flock a male." When we got the definition for Anthropos, and one of those was what? A people. So who is that male that comes and does the working of Satan? Let's get it, man. This is 2 Thessalonians 2, and I'll start at 8. It says, "Then shall the wicked be revealed." I'll start at 7. It says, "For the mystery of iniquity that already work. Only he who now let it will let until he be taken out of the way." So the Lord is the one who lets. So the Lord is giving this devil free reign to move how he is. Right? "And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom Yahweh shall consume with the spirit of his mouth and destroy with the brightness of his coming." And this is what the Lord is coming to do to these Edomites. Because what you don't know is these are those people. This is that man who it says his number is 603 score. This is that nigga. It's the so-called white men, and the chief of them, right? And their pureness of being Edomites is Amalek. Because it doesn't matter about the skin tone, but we know according to how they're moving, right? This is what they're representing. The deceivers, the deceiver who had in a flock of male, this is that male. This is those people. You know what? I actually got to go back to that Malachi 1. I want to see what it has for that word male. Let's get that real quick. Let's see that. Let's see that. And this is a car. It's a car. And it's a male of human animals, a male of humans. Properly remembered, a male of man or animals as being the most noteworthy. Him, male, him, man, child. Let's go to the root. Maybe there's something on it. To remember, recall, call to mind. To be brought to remembrance, remember. Cause to remember, cause to remember. Keep remembrance, mention record. Memorial, make remembrance. Mention to mail, burn, incense. Yeah, so that's basically it on that, man. That would have been, I got to do some more research on this. But basically, This is that male that was in that flock that we read. It says, even him, back in 2 Thessalonians 2 and 9, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonder. Right? Who's moving in this Satan-like fashion on the earth? Who sets up laws that a man and a man could get together? A woman and a woman. Who set up the laws and justified bombing children out of the earth because you wanted some land? They took 10, so you bombed thousands. Who created the big pharma industry where nobody gets healed, but everybody's perpetually hooked up and addicted to chemicals? Who set up the food industry where they can defile your food? Who are these people that own the industry for all these things? Who owns these umbrella companies that are able to do these things? They go back to a people, and the way they're moving and they're acting are like Edomites. These are devils. Right? It says, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. You see, this is what it is. These are them niggas on the earth. So when we read in Revelation the 13th chapter, right? Let's go back to it. When it said the number of a man was Anthropos, that man is this damn devil, this Edomite. I mean, what is that? Malachi 1 and 4? Tells you that, whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus say Yahweh, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom Yahweh had indignation forever. These are the people who wickedness just flow out through the earth. When you think about things that are wrong in this earth, you gotta tie them. You can't sit here and say it's the so-called Negro, it's the so-called Latino, it's the so-called Native American. You can't. Ishmael ain't got influence like that. Moab ain't got no influence like that. Yeah, them niggas is wicked as hell too, but they ain't got influence like that. Here it is, you talking about a $1 billion industry like human trafficking, $1 trillion industry probably, right? Well, they'll sit here and say, oh, these third world countries like in Mexico and every day they'll make movies like Sicario. But here it is, they'll never go into detail about the ones who have the capital and would be the only ones able to afford that pleasure, that so-called pleasure. Because it's just all wickedness, it's depravity, what they be doing, man. When you go into the entertainment industry, who's the one that sits there? Yeah, niggas is making the music. But why don't you have conscious music going out, conscious rap? Why is drill rap? Why is that shit so big? Why are these niggas getting the bucks? What happened to real R&B with artists who created songs with messages and shit like that? These devils didn't want that. Who created, who's the CEO of Pornhub? Right? Who's ruled that industry for decades? You got to look at those things and you'll see at the end of all of that, it's these Edomites, these so-called white people who will really go back to a nation of people in the scriptures that are Esau, Edom. But I just wanted to go into that real quick. Thought that was interesting. And this is that man. This is that man. Shalom.